Hi lovers, welcome back. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Garet, and we're your hosts of Modern Gaze. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about modern dating. Modern dating today is really complicated.
And we hear a lot of stories from our friends about the complications they go through.
I mean, I have lots of judgment that I'm going to not really hold on to. I'm going to try to release because...
Release it all.
I'm releasing because there's so many trends that are happening today that I think are somewhat destructive or I don't understand them. And then there's other things that are happening that I wish that we had like early on back in the day.
Well, speaking of trends,
Yes.
I've discovered a new term this week.
Okay.
It's a hairy truth and it's called beard fishing.
Beard fishing.
Yeah, so we've heard of catfishing, right? People are saying that they're now being beard fished.
Okay.
Essentially what it means is when they post a profile picture on Instagram or on a dating app or on Grindr or Scruff or wherever it might be, Bumble, they're saying that their beard length is incorrect when they meet the person in real life.
Okay, so
IRL.
So you know what? Actually, I can see how beard fishing is a major thing because you don't know what people's jawline is. You saw like those clips on TikTok or Instagram or whatever. The dad shaves his beard for the first time and then reveals it to their kid or their
when
baby.
He's got the massive beard down to his chest or belly button.
Right. And the baby looks at the dad and is like, "Who the fuck are you?"
Yeah.
That is a serious beard fish. I'm sure you go on so many dates and then like in the profile photos, maybe you're into beards and they have this like sexy beard and then you show up and it's like clean shaven.
It's basically like getting catfished, but on a double penetration level. You're getting double catfished.
Okay.
You're getting double fished.
You're getting double fished.
You're getting double fished.
Yes. And not everyone wants to be double fished.
No, because I'm also like, what's under that beard, Henny?
Like say you went from like a normal scruffy beard to like a mustache or from a goatee to like sideburns.
Right. Okay.
Like,
what about those guys that shave just below their nose? And
that's the worst. Okay.
it's like a millimeter high from their mouth and there's a gap.
No.
You're not into that?
No, unless you're, what's his name? That something Gomez from fucking Addams Family.
Oh, yep.
Okay, unless like that's your vibe, that is not a good look. So before we get into the dating updates of 2024, now that we're well into this year, I just want to say thank you again to all of our listeners who tune into Modern Gaze every single week. We are working on an exciting new project that we're teasing very soon. So keep listening, and the first ones to find out will be our subscribers on Patreon. So check that out and also join the conversation on Instagram and Threads.
Us gays, we just know how to do stuff.
Well, what about modern gays?
That's easy. Modern gays do everything. So if we met today on a dating app, and
so we did meet on a dating app.
We met on a dating app, right? FYI.
Right.
Sure. For those who don't know our story, we met on a dating app.
Yeah.
And then DM'd Garet on Instagram and the rest is history, her story. But if we met today on a dating app, right?
Yes.
Where would we go on our first date? Would we do the same experience? Or would it be different? Would it be a bit more transactional? Would it be quicker? Would it be daytime? Would it be ice cream? Would it be coffee? Would it be dinner? Would it be cocktails? What would it be?
Would
it be sex?
For me, like, okay, it wouldn't be a hookup right away. Sorry.
No, same.
It wouldn't be a coffee or an ice cream because I loathed those kinds of dates back in the day.
Right.
I thought they were non-committal. I was a bit like, like you're not going to really get to know me and it's not an intimate setting for me. And then today I feel like maybe I'm like in a time capsule from when we met. So I'm like, it worked. So why wouldn't I do it again?
Rinse and repeat.
I would just want to do the same thing.
I mean, I always love a drink. So like, why would we not just go and still get a nice cheeky cocktail together?
It's an intimate setting. You got a vibe. The music's right. Like the lighting's a bit lower.
But the music can't be too loud or else I'm not screaming.
No, right. Exactly. But then you just have that kind of banter back and forth and you just take a sip of your cocktail and
then a literal sip of the cocktail.
Okay. And then you actually can maybe let some of those inhibitions go. Let all that kind of wall down a bit. Whatever makes you feel calm and collected. It could be like a tea.
Oh.
Today I love a tea.
I love a tea.
So if it maybe
that would
was
be
like,
our second date.
If we went to a sushi restaurant or like a really sexy Japanese restaurant and we were having like some kind of tea ceremony paired with some delicious fresh sushi
And sake?
I would fucking love it.
I love it.
I love that. Okay, but Hinge came out with a 2024 report on what the hell is going on out there.
Educate the children, darling.
So, I mean, you have all these dating apps. You have Grindr, you have Bumble, you have Scruff, you have the sex apps, and you have the love apps, and you have the in-betweens, right? But Hinge is its own kind of beast because it has a lot of data.
Right.
And it's the data that's interesting.
I've never even used Hinge, to be honest.
I've never even downloaded the app, to be honest.
Same.
This is not a sponsored episode, obviously.
Sponsored by Hinge.
But, if you want to Hinge, you can. But for sure, it is really, really, really popular with all the peoples.
Yes.
And all those peoples have shared a lot of information because I think when you sign up for all of these apps,
they give all the data.
You don't even look at the terms and conditions, but that's all being reported. And what's interesting is it comes out with some really interesting insights.
Share.
So, first of all, there are 3 new trends that are really a focus in dating today. And it's really different from our experience from back in the day.
Right.
The first one is embracing a soft start.
Look, no one likes a soft start.
No,
you got to go hot, hard, and heavy.
Okay, wait. The second one is planning an LPD.
LPD?
Yes, a low pressure date.
I was going to say like a long plan something. Low pressure date. Okay.
And the third is rolling out the soft launch.
Look, I've heard lots of soft. There's lots of softness going on here. Back in my day when we were dating, girl, it was hard.
You want to get a hard
launch?
Hot, and heavy.
Yeah, girl.
But this is really focused around queer and LGBTQ plus dating.
Yes.
And this is the insights that's being shared from members within the Hinge community who identify as LGBTQ plus.
Right.
So you have a lot of trans people, you have a lot of queer people, you have a lot of bi people, and there's a lot of people who identify with different gender identities as well as sexual identities. It's a very inclusive platform.
Okay.
And I'm sure there's a lot of bullshit on there, but in general, there is a really unique environment for everyone to kind of find love in this similar space together.
Okay, so let's unpack this. The first one was a soft launch.
It's the idea of embracing a soft start.
A soft start. Okay. So a soft start meaning like a very surface level conversation, non-committal coffee date or an ice cream date. Like let's unpack soft start.
Okay, so it's like, romance?
Yes.
This is a slowmance.
It's a slow burn.
It's a slow burn. So many times we've met people that we felt were just so wonderful and hot and heavy and like you just get into it. Seriously, when you were 18 years old or 22 years old and you met somebody and you went on this like great date and they were sexy and like everything was vibing and then it just felt so right. And then you're spending all of this time together and you're planning all these like consecutive dates, like, and you're just packing it all in. And it's just really great. Everything. It's great makeout sessions. It's great sex, or it's great just like
conversation,
good times. Right. And then it just fizzles out of nowhere.
Well, I think that was my problem when I was dating, probably, was there was no slowmance. It was always very quick. It was very intense. It was like, I want to date you. I want to be with you. Let's get together.
The idea today is that you would actually take this slow start or the slowmance more consciously. Like you would slow the pace down to enjoy the ride rather than rush through it, and get to like the next thing. You're really just
every moment. Just just softly caress it.
I would imagine it can get boring if you take it too slow.
Right.
It could mean like the other person might get less interested because they feel like you're not as interested. When I meet someone in everyday life, right? I want to give full attention. I want to have this like really great, meaningful, engaging conversation.
And you want to build that connection.
So I think that with this idea of going slow is really about, more in the sense of trying to release a lot of the preconceived ideas that you have, take a bit of the pressure off, and just like really slowly get to know that person in a more foundational way. So,
it's a less pressure way to meet somebody and connect with them. But I think going slow At some point, you're going to have to pick up the pace, sweetie. Like the slowmance can only last so long.
Well, I guess that's the pressure of today's society. Now, when you think about back in the day with technology,
Right.
for us, there was a lot going on, but we didn't necessarily fully live on it. Like we didn't require it as much as we require it today.
No, that's fair.
I'm so much more integrated into this tech, but at the same time, I'm really grateful that I didn't have all that before.
Right. But what I find really fascinating about people and about society is that we want to date and have a slowmance, but technology and the world is evolving so rapidly.
But that's the thing, is that it's like kind of like for you to find intimacy is to break from those aggressive patterns.
That's fair.
And the aggressive pattern moves you on such like a velocity that is like not maintainable to apply to your dating life.
So people try and take control back.
Right. Maybe it is disconnecting a bit and just really focusing on getting to know someone on a much more, unique level where it's not so fueled by all this pressure on it turning into a relationship.
Right, I get that.
And you can just be like, or you'd be like, what is like your first two things that you want to do when the sun rises? Like when you wake up in the morning, what does your morning look like?
Okay.
And then you talk about your routine and
question.
you talk about like what that looks like for you, rather than jumping in and being like, what are your expectations in this relationship? And you're like, what the fuck?
Well, 64% of LGBTQIA plus hingers say that seeing humor on someone's profile makes them more interested in chatting.
Yes.
And only 20% of LGBTQIA plus daters prefer someone to start a conversation by skipping the small talk and asking a deep question. Now, I'm in that 20%.
Small talk is like what? The weather and
like, hey, how are you?
Great, and like, oh, that's like a cool bag. And
like, what are you going to ask someone a deep question about? Like, what was one thing you were grateful for this morning on your gratitude journal?
We have gotten to a certain point in our life together,
yes.
in a relationship, married, as two gay men, from two opposite parts of the world.
Yes.
With very busy lives.
Yes.
And lots of like social influence and family dynamics and different friendship circles, all this other stuff. This is a marathon.
Yeah. And it still is.
Not that it's work. It's just like, it's this kind of like long journey together.
Well, I just look at it as always going to be a marathon.
But why would you want to sprint through the life? You know what I mean? Imagine,
no, you want to enjoy it.
Would you skip the last 7 years just to get to this point right now? Or would you want to have enjoyed those times together? You know what I mean?
I agree. I wish we got to enjoy those moments more and appreciate every single moment.
So I think that this idea of the slow start is about setting the right pace.
I like that.
And it's like working towards that energy to keep that pace
moving along,
consistent throughout your life. Even when you are together for 10, 15 years, I feel like that is a good idea to kind of hold on to, this idea of slowmance.
Right.
To keep the romance.
So after slowmance is the LPD. It's low pressure dates. So the number one low pressure date for us LGBTQIA plus daters is just a coffee shop where the gays will buy a nice coffee, followed by a bar and then a restaurant.
Oh, how innovative. I mean, I think that that's pretty generic because that's where we mostly congregate to be like convivial with our friends and family. Like it's a very normal place to go because
a coffee shop,
we're going to share a beverage, we're going to share a meal, we're going to have like 15 to an hour together. So other than slow starts or this idea of slowmance, and I guess to kind of continue on to the next thing in this idea of kind of going with the flow without too much pressure, what's a low pressure date to you? Like what's low pressure?
A walk.
Okay.
A hike.
A hike?
A hike.
Yeah. Like maybe like a walk down to the beach, grab a coffee, have a chat.
I mean, maybe even doing like a fitness class and then grabbing a juice or a coffee after the class, or like doing some form of activity.
Like something you're going to do anyway.
Yeah, where it's like a group environment.
But not too group. Like you don't know anybody else.
I think an LPD could even be like a cinema date, like a movie night at the cinemas.
Yeah.
Because it's like low pressure. You don't really need to talk to one another, but you can just vibe out each other's, spark. There are limited places for an LPD. I mean, unless you want to go to a library.
No, I think an LPD is like something that is along your normal journey. Like we were talking to Kevin Kassir on one of our previous episodes, he had suggested to just like connect on the errands that you already have to do.
Oh yeah, that's a good LPD. I think a good LPD is also maybe just going for brunch or like a morning breakfast.
A daytime event.
A daytime event.
So this is fully appropriate for us right now because this is just like catching up with friends.
Right.
We're not dating,
No.
but we are seeing our friends. We're building relationships with the most important people in our lives. And sometimes we're busy, sometimes we're overwhelmed, sometimes an LPD with a friendship circle is perfect.
I agree. But I also feel like when we were dating back in the day, the epitome of LPD was Netflix and chill.
But that's the chill part. What are you talking about? That's not the epitome. That's an LPH.
What's a H?
A low pressure hookup.
Oh.
So an LPH, which we just made up on Modern Gays,
Oh my God.
is literally just like, okay, if you don't really want to go to dinner and like get it, all done up or whatever, you can just show up in your like sweatpants and a G-string and just like be ready to go.
Yes, I mean,
LPH.
okay, well, maybe I had an LPH once and I just didn't read the signs, or he didn't read the signs, but we just sat on other sides of the couch and it was very awkward.
I think your definition of an LPD is an LPH, to be honest.
Girl, if I'm going to have an LPD, the D's going to be out. Girl, there ain't no H.
What's the L?
Long.
Okay. So for us, we kind of hard launched. We hard launched our relationship.
We soft launched.
No, we pretty much hard launched our relationship because unbeknownst to me, announced our relationship to your entire family and every single person you've ever known, because this was when we were still on Facebook. And for some reason, I decided to change my relationship status.
Yes.
As if I give a shit about Facebook anymore.
Yeah, you changed your relationship status before I did.
And I connected it to you. And then once you said yes, it just like announced it to literally every single kid that you grew up with, as well as every aunt and uncle and cousin. And then everyone started calling your parents like,
that's right.
Saying like, oh, congratulations to Daniel. I didn't even know he was gay.
And that was the first time that I had ever even updated my relationship status on Facebook ever.
I just don't know what made me want to do it at the time, but
you were just proud to have me.
I was proud.
But I thought I definitely soft launched us on my socials, because I remember just posting us on one of our dates, going to Aladdin, and we posted a selfie together.
So in 2024, over 60% of people really do appreciate and want a soft launch, but it's not only because you don't want all these people up in your business. You want to feel safe and comfortable, as well as protected. Because a lot of people, I think, have multiple coming outs. There's first ideas of like who they are at a young age, and then that might change as they get older, and it might develop into something completely different, once they know themselves even more.
I love a soft launch though. I think it's a really nice idea. I also I can get on board for a hard launch as well, because I think it's fun when it's like we're boyfriends, or we're together, or when you actually announce that you're official.
Yes.
It's like when we got married. I felt like when we got married, that was a hard launch.
Yes, because we were bombarded everyone with our photos.
But everyone does a hard launch for the wedding day, because everyone keeps it hush hush unless you're a celebrity. And then the next day after the wedding, when you get your sneak peek images,
yes,
bang,
it's like bam, we got married. We're married. Here's all the photos. And yes, I get it. But I guess the difference is that a soft launch would be just uploading, like you said, some stories here and there when
or
you're
a reel.
Out and about.
Yep.
And you're not really that affectionate, or there's not too much PDA, but you're just you can kind of make out the other person in the photos.
You keep seeing that person.
Keep seeing them
pop up.
And then your friends start going, or some acquaintances.
Who's that?
I think she's dating someone. This, da, da, da.
Yeah.
And then a hard launch is basically making a post and in the comment saying, hard launch.
We're
this
together.
Is my partner.
Right.
I can appreciate a soft launch, and I think that is important for people to talk about it, because I know that we were both very out.
Yes.
But so many people aren't fully out in who they are. Over 77% of people do agree that you need to have a conversation with your partner before you post them on social media at all.
Absolutely.
So you have a soft launch, you have a hard launch, and then you have a never launch.
Never launched.
Never launched, never took off. Yeah.
But are you together or just never took off?
So it's choosing not to share or reveal the identity of your romantic partner.
Okay, so I follow a girl, and I'll leave her nameless, but a person I know who I performed with, she did that all the time.
Really?
She would post that she was out for dinner, and all you would see was his arm. With my love, or date night, or I'm so lucky.
Well, you've seen the viral TikToks of like people like pretending they're on dates or like having a caress of someone, and then they like zoom out and it's actually their own hand.
Yeah, I was like, is this guy real?
Yeah.
Like, does he actually exist? Like, what are you hiding?
Or they've just accepted that, or like someone comes and be like, oh, I don't want to be on social media, and you'd be like, why?
Right.
And then there has to be a conversation around that in a way. I would hope.
Yeah, that to me, like the no launch is very odd.
Yeah,
very, very odd.
But only 33% of people would at all like consider it like normal.
I think 33% is high, love.
33%.
That's high.
Well, I think it has a lot.
I think low is like 7.
I think in the people that do feel like that's required or necessary is because I feel like they can't fully be honest.
Yeah, probably. Within the LGBTQA, yes, absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
It could be hiding for your own safety.
Yeah, like we said about the France Olympics, right? About Grindr being blocked in those areas for the protection. So yeah, I can get that.
Yeah. Okay, so then let me ask you a few questions.
Okay, go.
So how would someone, you think, bring up boundaries around posting on social media? Like what kind of like conversation, like how does that come up?
Boundaries.
Like say you've been dating for someone for some time, like, and you went to Disneyland together. Like you're going to take lots of photos there, right? And you're going to inevitably post them on social media
right
at some point.
We just have a conversation.
In that moment?
Yeah. I would have the conversation before I went to Disneyland so that you don't kill the vibe on the day.
I mean, I would just take the photo and be like, hey, do you mind if I post this photo of us?
I would just say, hey, I love this photo of us. It's really cute. Can I post it?
Yeah. You could say like, are you comfortable if I post it? I know I haven't posted you yet.
And then if they say, I'm not sure, you can be like, what are your boundaries? Maybe I won't tag you. There's a bunch of different ways that you can kind of work around it. But if it's a flat out no, you have to respect that.
And then maybe if it's just like a story post, nothing, no context, whatever.
It disappears in 24 hours.
Who cares? But at
these
the same
shady ass people on Instagram, I mean, they take screenshots. You cannot hide. Nothing is disappearing.
That's true.
Right.
Okay. So what about, when is it too soon to post a photo together in general? What's too soon?
A week.
So if you've been dating someone
maybe
once
2
or
weeks,
like maybe you went on 2 dates during the week, like taking a photo and posting it to your social media.
I think the minimum would be maybe 4 or 5 dates for me.
Really?
I think that's like a sufficient amount to feel comfortable with someone to then post them.
So what was our first photo together?
Aladdin.
Yeah. So
that was 3 months later after we were dating.
So that was like 3 months into our relationship.
We did a soft launch on a story.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then it was all over.
I mean, I've met guys out and I've hard launched them after one night of Halloween in WeHo.
Really?
Yeah.
So there you go.
But we weren't dating, but like it was some random guy that I met and then just posted them on my Instagram.
Like out and about.
Yeah.
Maybe you scared them off. They didn't want to be on social media.
Yeah, probably.
You do post us a lot.
I do.
And I always usually repost you.
Yes.
And then I'm just like, tag me.
And you approve the photo.
I'm like, let me see. Okay, good. I look fine. Tag me so I can repost it. That's as much effort as I want to put in it.
Yeah.
I don't want to put more effort.
That's fair.
Because I don't value it.
I do.
I know. So I'm just like, that's why I feel like you have to have those conversations because sometimes people might just not value it at all.
Absolutely. You have to get on the same page. 100%.
But if you know your partner values it a lot, then there has to be some kind of compromise.
It doesn't
mean you have to be at their level, but I think that you have to be like, okay, well, here's a little something that I know you're going to appreciate. And like, hopefully that's enough.
Right. That's fair.
Absolutely.
So the takeaways from me is that I could get behind a Slowmance, and I also am into the LPD.
Okay.
Like I could get behind those two things. Soft launch, hard launch, I'm really whatever. But the first two, I can relate.
I like the idea of the LPD for friendships and for every relationship in your life when you are focused so much on everything else that's going on. I think a lot of these trends that are happening where there's this like really slow movement and like this like slowmance and the soft start and like creating a lot of space. Let's all be safe. Let's
It's just
all
very
be like,
tiptoey for me.
It's very tiptoey, and it's not like I'm all in energy that I
Yes.
think that I appreciate.
I also think it's very not confident. I'm sorry.
It doesn't
Scream confidence.
Yeah, it's like very careful and super considered to the point where there's no risk.
Right.
And a little bit of risk, I think, can be exciting when you're being safe and smart about it.
But you're also not, yeah.
And I understand like a lot of people in general like have ignored red flags, or they've jumped through things too quickly, or they've burnt through like that candle, way too fast, and the fire's gone like within like literally 2 weeks. And I think that you have to find a balance, obviously, but this idea of slowing it down is because our lives are way too fucking fast.
Yeah.
Like there's way too much going on. The news cycle is too fast. Everything that's going on in our feed is like so like swipe. And it's a lot.
Well, I just think if you want to slow it down, like have a sleepover and spend 8 hours together. That's very slow.
Oh my God.
Like that will slow you down.
You know what you need to do? Do a yoga class by yourself. Slow down. Have some personal slow down time.
Yeah, you'll need to
you can like
recharge.
fire it up with the person when you're together.
Yeah, don't
like, do
slow it down when you're meeting someone and dating them.
I want to do something fun.
Like slow down yourself before you see them, or slow down after it if you need to recharge yourself.
Listen,
don't slow down the romance. Your dating should not be slow. It should be fun. It should be thrilling. It should be adventurous. It should be energetic.
That's what I'm saying, is that the energy of the investment needs to go into you. Like it needs to go into me. Like if I need to slow down myself so I can either meditate, or I can do yoga, or I can do activities I love, or I could just take a couple days off to reset.
Okay.
Then I'm going to jump in.
My piece of advice from Daniel is your relationship should choose to continue and progress. It will slow that fuck down. Let me tell you, because you're going to be together for a very long time, and then eventually you're going to want to just nest and cozy up together, especially during winter, and watch a show, watch RuPaul, play some Nintendo, play video games, have people over at your house, and it's going to be very slow, girl. So
you're going to want to fire up later anyway.
Yeah, so like enjoy the process and don't be too slow.
So you don't agree with these trends?
I don't
so much. You say like pick it up.
As I said at the start,
jump
hot
in.
and heavy. I'm all about it.
Right.
Show your true self.
Yeah.
Don't try and mask behind the slowness to impress somebody, because then it's not going to work.
I like the idea of like slowing down your own life so that you can be reflective and be really, really, really good by just being alone and just loving yourself. And then when you come together with someone, you can ignite that energy and just jump in and just go, with your heart into the wind, and still protect yourself and be smart, but still take a bit of a risk.
Absolutely.
Anyway, well, thanks for tuning into this conversation. I know that, taking advice from a married couple about dating can be annoying, but hopefully, we could share a little bit of insight, as well as what I think that we can apply to some of our friendships. It's not just dating, but these are every relationship that we have in our lives that can benefit by a little LPD. But until next week, keep building the vibrant life you want by owning your authentic self.